Hey there, it's Cassie. I hope you're having a great weekend. I am back today with the Tryfold Cat Lady stamp by Art Impressions. I told you I would be back. That one won out, or at least the cats themselves did. So I'm just going to open up my stamp and we're going to go ahead and get started. To start off, I am going to grab a piece of 5.5" by 11" cardstock. In this case, it is some Kansan XL watercolor paper, 110 pounds, so it's pretty heavy. And I am going to score that at 3 5/8 inches from each side. I'm using my score buddy there to do so. And this will give this card 3 even sections. So for our stamping, I'm going to put this in my stamp platform and I'm going to grab our little lady. And according to the directions, we need to line her up in the middle on the inside of the card about 1/2 inch from the top. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm just kind of realigning it to make sure she's kind of straight. And then I'm going to use my VersaFine Onyx Black ink because I'm going to do some watercoloring. And because this paper has some tooth to it, I'm going to have to stamp it twice, or at least a couple times. In this case, probably about 3. And that's what the stamp platform is so great for. And then I'm going to flip the card over because we want this to be on the outside, and I'm going to line up the cat tree about 1 3/4 inches from the top, right up along that score line that we did. And then I will stamp that using the same VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I'm so thankful for that stamp platform, I'll tell you. And then we're going to do the other cats, the cats on the radio, and they are going to be 2 inches from the top, and they're going to be lined up right along the score line on the other side of the card. And now both of those are on the outside. Our little lady is on the inside. All right, and now for the fun part. I have this sped up about 4 times. I do not color this quickly. I am grabbing my Mijello Mission Gold set of 36 watercolors and my Black Velvet Silver watercolor brush that is a size 4, and I'm just going to start watercoloring her. I don't really have any rhyme or reason to what colors I'm exactly using, but I am just putting down a flat wash because I plan to go back over it with a second layer later on once that's dried. That's how watercolor works because they're transparent. You want to work in layers. So as you can see, I have a little bit too much pink on her little slippers, so I pulled some of that away. I want that to dry so that I can add the shading later. Otherwise you end up with some fairly harsh lines, and maybe you want that. In some cases I don't mind some harsh lines. So if it were up to me, well, it was up to me, but I would have colored all of these cats to be Siamese. Because I have a Siamese, as if you didn't already know. If you've watched my channel, you know you've probably heard him a few times. His name is Nick, and he's pretty awesome. I am going to be honest with you, I was never really a cat person. And I ended up getting my cat as a present. And I'm actually allergic to cats. I know, very funny. But for some reason, Nick doesn't bother me quite as much. He does bother me if I pet him and then I touch my eyes, or if he snuggles up too much, I'll get hives pretty much all over. But I love him. I love him so much, I really don't mind. And I don't know, so my first experience with a cat was my friend Mary. When I was growing up, she had a Siamese cat, and I don't remember what his name was. I just remember trying so hard to be his friend, and I came home with so many scratches and bites, and I was never trying to hold him or anything. He just wasn't having it. So it wasn't until later on that I actually learned how you're supposed to approach cats, and apparently slow, that's not the way to do it. So I learned that now, and I think I've turned into a bit of a cat person. I think it fits my personality. Believe it or not, I'm actually a bit of an introvert. So yeah, cats kind of fit my personality, although I love my dog too. So I didn't color all of these to be Siamese simply because that would have been sort of boring, right? There are so many different cats out there with so many different colorings and patterns, and all are beautiful. So I have, and I don't know what the different names of the cats are. I think I'm coloring this one like a calico. And I've got some orange tabbies in there and probably some gray tabbies, and I don't know what you call the black ones with the white on their head, or any of the other ones, but I'm just having fun. I'm just coloring. I'm laying down that light wash, and I am just enjoying the coloring process. It took me some time. Like I said, I've sped this up about 4 times. And I would say that this took me some time, but I like coloring. I don't mind coloring. So for me, this was therapeutic. So I'm just going to keep on coloring. I may have even had some music on in the background while I was doing this. So yeah. So let me talk a little bit about these watercolors. Like I said, these are the Mijello Mission Gold set of 36. I'm pretty sure they have bigger sets and smaller sets. And I actually had never owned this high of a quality of watercolor before. I know there's higher quality, and I also know that there's a lot lower quality. My husband got these for me for Christmas a couple years ago, and he got them off of Amazon. And I will say that these are fabulous. I really love coloring with them. I like blending them. And there's a good variety, like I said, 36 in this particular set, and I'll link to that down below so that you can check it out if you're interested. And I know that there's some very expensive watercolors out there. I've been a little bit curious about a few of those, but my budget says no. So I will stick with these for a little while. I may branch out, like I was talking yesterday, when the time comes, but for now, I have been really enjoying coloring with these. The price point is still fairly high, but they're a very good quality watercolor. And as you can see now, I'm going in with that second layer. This is where I'm adding the shadows, and I'm adding, that way I can keep some of the highlights. Or I'm adding the stripes to the cats, because everything is dry now. And in between layers, I will dry that with my heat tool, but I'm just having fun doing that. All right, and here's one more fun story about my cat. So my husband acts like he doesn't always love the cat sometimes, but this cat adores my husband. And that might be why he adores him, because my husband acts uninterested. You know how cats are. If you're allergic, they want to be around you. If you don't like them, they want to be around you. Well, every night before we go to bed, that cat will wait on my husband's side of the bed and wait for my husband to come to bed, and he'll meow and he'll wait. And then as soon as my husband gets into bed, that cat climbs up onto his chest and lays down. And it's mostly because my husband doesn't move. So there you go. All right, well now I am getting ready to cut. So what I have done is I have lined the paper trimmer up, or the score line in my paper trimmer, and I'm cutting down just to the mark of about where the top of the cats are. And so I will start fussy cutting around the cats. And I'm leaving a bit of a white border because it just makes sense. And then as soon as I am done, and this is a little bit difficult because this is a heavier weight cardstock. You wouldn't want to use anything real flimsy. So you would want to stick with something a little bit heavier duty, but it does make it a little bit more difficult trying to cut those out. And I have found that when you're trying to cut like this, it's better to have the lower part of the scissors underneath, which makes sense, but you want it behind that paper. And I'll just keep trimming. And as soon as I'm done trimming, then I will actually fold those score lines in. And I'll use a bone folder to do so because, again, heavier cardstock. But let's start with some carpet first. I don't want her just floating out there, so I have watered down one of my paints, because these are highly pigmented. So I've watered them down, or at least this color down pretty well, just using it in the center of my palette there. And again, I'm going in with a wash. I can add some shadowing later. And I will drag that paint down a little bit more till it fades out. And then I'll heat set that off screen, and then this is where I will add my shadows to make it look a little bit more realistic. And then I will heat that again so that I can dry it, and then I'll add the carpeting on the outside of the card as well. I wasn't exactly sure how far I should go in on those white lines where the cats are, so I just went in a little bit. I didn't go crazy. I probably could have gone in all the way around them, but And then again, I will dry that and I will add the shadowing to that after I'm done. And now I will use the bone folder to crease those. And this is where you'll see the finished card. How cute is that? Oh my gosh. And there you have a little scene. And so beforehand, I actually tried it out using some Copics. And as you can see, there's also a lot of Siamese on there. I had to do it. So there you are, guys. If you liked this video, hit the like button. And I always appreciate your guys' comments and you subscribing if you've done so and liking my videos. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for stopping by.